Welcome back to Newsmax Now. President Obama's Supreme Court nominee could come at any time, just not today. According to a source familiar with the process, the president has the list narrowed down to 3 names: Sri Srinivasan, Merrick Garland, and Paul Watford. All 3 are federal appeals court judges. Srinivasan and Garland were both considered for the high court by President Obama twice before, but were ultimately passed over. Sri Srinivasan, if nominated and confirmed, would be the first Asian American and first Hindu on the Supreme Court. He may be the toughest to turn away. He was confirmed to the appeals court by the Senate in a 97-0 vote back in 2013. Now, Merrick Garland has also received bipartisan support. He currently serves as the chief judge of the Washington Appeals Court, where he was appointed by President Bill Clinton. That was in 1997. And Paul Watford. He was placed on the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals by a Senate confirmation of 61-34 in 2012. If confirmed, he would be the nation's 3rd black justice, following current Justice Clarence Thomas and Thurgood Marshall, who retired in 1991. Now, Republicans have vowed to fight against any Supreme Court nominee put forward by President Obama. They believe that the next president should be the one to choose Justice Scalia's replacement. The Republican Party currently has control of the Senate and has vowed not to hold confirmation hearings, let alone an up or down vote.
But will there be consequences? Let's talk more about this with David Goodfriend, former Deputy Staff Secretary to President Bill Clinton. Also with us, Brent Budowsky, columnist at The Hill. Gentlemen, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
David, how will a Supreme Court nomination change the election?
Well, it really helps to focus the mind of a typical voter to see just how impactful the election is. Politicians can say till they're blue in the face, this is a really important election. You got to make sure you vote. But something like a Supreme Court vacancy where the next president, if not the current president, decides it, that's a big, big deal. Moreover, I think the words of Mitch McConnell early on after winning the majority are very instructive here. He wanted to show that Republicans can govern, and Democrats want to point a finger at him and say that he's an obstructionist. It's going to be hard for him to dodge the obstructionist tag when he's not even allowing a hearing on a Supreme Court justice. And I think Americans have a very basic sense of fairness that will not play well for the Republican brand. That having been said, this is not the first time that major issues have come up in a presidential campaign. I mean, let's look at 2007, 2008. That was when the economic meltdown happened, and that certainly focused the minds of a lot of voters. So I don't think this is a particularly unique element to this election campaign. It just means that there'll be an awful lot of attention on this particular issue during the campaign.
Well, Brent, if you were advising the Democratic nominee for the president, how would you tell them to use this to their advantage on the campaign trail?
Well, I have written and would advise them that they should say, here come the Republicans wanting a government shutdown of the United States Supreme Court. And it would be a government shutdown that would poison 2 terms of the Supreme Court, the current one and the next one. We wouldn't even have a nominee named if the Republicans get their way until the new president comes in, and then you've got confirmation hearings and a floor vote. So that would destroy the Supreme Court term that begins when they come back next October. It's a government shutdown of the Supreme Court by the Republicans. The last time they tried it, it worked miserably. I think the Democrats will come out ahead on the deal. The only question is how much damage it does to Republicans, particularly among Republicans in the Senate who have tight races who could easily lose to Democrats. In a tight race,
that's certainly a concern.
That could be very, very important.
That's certainly a concern. You wonder, though, if it does drive that GOP base even more, if they see this as a reason to get out and vote, especially the ones who didn't vote the last time around. I want to talk about one more thing, gentlemen, before we let you go, and that's Hillary Clinton. I want to play a soundbite from her, and she's coming under fire for these comments that she made about Benghazi, Libya, during that town hall last night.
Libya was a different kind of calculation, and we didn't lose a single person. We didn't have a problem in supporting our European and Arab allies in working with NATO.
David, we of course know that we did lose 4 people, including Ambassador Chris Stevens. What was Hillary thinking when she made this comment?
I think, look, you're asking me, I think she was trying to say we didn't lose a single ally because she went on to talk about allies afterwards that we held together with the Europeans. And
but a poor choice of words.
I think she misspoke. And I'll tell you what, if we want to talk equivalency, nobody said it was a gaffe when Donald Trump made racist comments about Mexicans, Muslims, and said nice things about the KKK. That, my friend,
what did he say nice
is
about the
dangerous
KKK?
talk.
I don't think he said anything
We
nice
don't need
about
to
it.
draw
I do
Trump into
believe.
this,
Okay,
though.
Yeah,
no,
we're
I'm glad. No, let's talk about this because you want to make Hillary's gaffe an issue. I want to talk to you about what Donald Trump, the presumptive nominee, actually said.
But he hasn't
racist
actually
things
held office.
about
With all due
Muslims,
respect,
racist
David, he
things
hasn't held
about
office.
Mexicans.
David.
My friend, you are barking
Trump.
up
Well, let's let Brent weigh in because
Go
we got
ahead.
to run in 45 seconds. Brent, go ahead.
No, it was a mistake, but what is much more important, over 100 Republican national security leaders, Republicans and conservatives, expressed written alarm in an open letter about the prospect of Donald Trump becoming commander-in-chief. Generals have said if he gives the order to troops to commit torture, they would not honor those because it's against the law for a commander to honor an illegal order. But when you have almost the entire Republican foreign policy leadership scared to death about Trump, that is much more important than anything Hillary Clinton could say on a given day about Benghazi or anything else.
Well, it didn't work for Jeb Bush, even though all those folks came out supporting him.
Right.
We'll have to leave it there. Gentlemen, thanks for your time. We do appreciate it, even if we don't necessarily agree. Brent Budowsky, David Goodfriend, great to see you guys.
Thank you.
I think it's a little different, though. Hillary served as Secretary of State. Trump hasn't held office yet. But
While
there's still,
Benghazi happened, she was
right,
Secretary of State.
So much more to come. You're watching Newsmax Now.